بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما وارزقنا فهم رب يسر ولا تؤثر وتتممه بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا فتاح يا عليم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We're going to carry on with the Muqaddimah of the Kitab. Inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أما بعد فإن التمسك بهديه لا يستتب إلا بالاقتفاء بما صدر من مشكاته. So indeed, adhering to his guidance is not established except with following that which comes from within his from his mishkat. والاعتصام بحبل الله لا يتم إلا ببيان كشفه. And adhering to the rope of Allah is not complete except with his explanation, except with the understanding his explanation.
So understanding his explanation, understanding the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, explaining the hadith, it is not possible to tread the path of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam unless one follows his guidance and obeys his commands. His hadith must be observed dutiful. It is clear that if one does not obey his commands, one cannot abide by his sayings. If one does not follow in his footsteps, how can he hope to walk on his path? And if anyone does not tread his path, he will not be obedient to the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
وكان كتاب المصابيح الذي صنفه الإمام محي-السنة قامع البدعة أبو محمد الحسين بن مسعود الفراء البغوي رفع الله درجته. So this book, Al-Masaabih, which was compiled by Imam Muhyi-As-Sunnah, the Imam who elevated the Sunnah and the suppressor of bid'ah, of innovation, Abu Muhammad Hussein ibn Mas'ud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised status, أجمع كتاب صنف في بابه. He compiled he composed this book, which was eloquent in that which it contains.
It was
composed in the first.
yes, in the front bar. Composed.
وأثبت لشوارد الأحاديث وأوابرها.
So the word shawarid, plural, sharid, and awabid, plural, abida, respectively mean a runaway camel and a monster, a wild beast. They are used here figuratively. Shawarid refers to those hadith that were written down in the books of fiqh, and every Sikh of a hadith could not trace it out because these books were out of his reach. In other words, the hadith were like a runaway camel from his eyes, concealed from him. Hence, shawarid. Similarly, awabid refers to those hadith whose meaning is not easily comprehended by the seeker and the student. Hence, they are likened to awabid.
ولما سلك رضي الله عنه طريق الاختصار وحذف الأساليب تكلم فيه بعض النقاد. So when the composing and he took it a path of summarizing, and he made hadith of the isnad, he hid the isnad. Some of the critics, they started speaking.
So the isnad represents the names of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum who narrated the hadith and is called out before the narrating or the writing down of a hadith. Also the name of all the narrators of a hadith from the Sahabi down to the writer of the book are known as the sanad of the isnad. Composed of Masaabih. So Masaabih was the original kitab. Masaabih was the original kitab, and then the author of Mishkat came and he added on. So the author of the composer of Masaabih had practiced in keeping it short, in compiling a hadith in his book, and suffice was just writing down the text of the hadith alone, omitting the sanad. Therefore, the muhaddithin did not approve of it because a hadith is recognized only through its sanad, which names the narrator, and only by looking at that can one classify a hadith as hasan, sahih, or da'if.
وإن كان نقله وإنه من الثقات كالإسناد, and even though it was omitted, he was trustworthy, he was a thaqi, it was as though it had an isnad. لكن ليس ما فيه أعلام كالأطفال. However, there is no explanation for those who neglect. فاستخرجت الله تعالى واستوقفت منه. So he made istikhara with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he sought his tawfiq from him. فأعلمت ما أخفله. So he was informed of that which disappeared from him, or like was unknown to him.
So he mentions here that something without a bearing is not something like a bearing. So even though the author was from the Tiqat, but when he left out the isnad, then it was as if he left out the hadith, because most of the muhaddithin would not recognize a hadith without the sanad. So he's mentioned there, ليس ما فيه إعلام كالأخفال. Something without a bearing is not like that which has a bearing. Like you say, a car without an engine, is it a car? It's not a car. The engine is what makes it move. So a hadith without a sanad is like a hadith, is not like a hadith.
فأودعت كل حديث منه في مقرره كما رواه الأئمة المتقنون والثقات الراسخون, مثل أبي عبد الله محمد بن إسماعيل البخاري. So then I placed on every hadith which was mentioned from the perfect Imam and the thiqat, the established thiqat, like Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari, Abu Hussein Muslim ibn Hajjaj al-Qushayri, وأبي عبد الله مالك ابن أنس الأصبحي, وأبي عبد الله محمد ابن إدريس الشافعي, وأبي عبد الله أحمد ابن محمد ابن الحنبل الشيباني, وأبي عيسى محمد بن عيسى الترمذي, وأبي داود سليمان بن أشعب السجستاني, وأبي عبد الرحمن أحمد بن شعيب النسائي, وأبي عبد الله محمد بن زيد بن ماجه القزويني, وأبي محمد عبد الله بن عبد الرحمن الدارمي, وأبي الحسين علي بن عمر الدارقطني, وأبي بكر أحمد بن حسين البيهقي, وأبي الحسن رزين بن معاوية العبدري, وغيرهم, وقليل ما هو.
So as we have mentioned earlier, that the compiler of Masaabih had omitted the sanad and reference when he collected the hadith in his book. Some authorities found fault with it. Therefore, when the compiler of Mishkat wrote down more a hadith in the Masaabih, he took care to include the sanad against every hadith, as well as the reference to the book from which it is drawn. Also, he followed the same procedure that the compiler of those books, for example, Bukhari, Muslim, and that all those that were mentioned above, he followed the same procedure that they had observed. In this way, the book came to a light in a fresh arrangement for the current Mishkatul Masaabih.